I'm Layla. Today we're in Etheria Restart, and I want to talk about Gray. Gray happens to be one of the starter Animus that you have, and he's an SR, but he's an amazing example of how great the SRs are in this game. But first, I want to take a moment and thank Etheria Restart for sponsoring today's video. I'll have a download link below, that way you guys can register for the game. It goes live on June 5th. Okay, so like I just said, Gray happens to be a starter Animus. And in this game, the SRs in this game are pretty amazing. You could probably liken them to maybe like epics in some other games, but Gray is really a good example of how good they are in this game. All right, so first off, what I want to do is I want to talk about his kit. So his A1 is called Electro Surge. It's a single damage and it also has a turn meter plus, right? So Gray infuses his weapon with lightning power and quickly assaults a single enemy, dealing 250% damage. When he crits, he increases 25% turn meter. So I'm going to get back to the crit rate and the crits in a moment. Now you are going to see I built him up as high as we could go. And so he does have all of these additional assets on here, right? Like the damage multipliers and the turn meter boost. So talking about the crit, you can see his A2 is a crit rate up. So this is Thunderous Roar. This is a crit rate up with an extra turn. Is Gray infuses lightning power into all of his allies, applying a crit rate up and immediately gets an extra turn. So you're going to see this is a 30% crit rate up, and this is important to remember because I'm going to talk about how I built him in a moment. And then his A3 is called Lightning Speed. So Gray pours thunderous power into his weapon, materializing into a Thunder Dragon and dealing 220% damage to all enemies. On a crit, he deals an additional 120% damage and flicks a defense down. So it decreases defense by 60%. And again, building him up is going to have increased damage multipliers and also reducing the skill cooldown. So as you guys can see, we see like with him, crit rate's really important, and he also does get these extra turns. With that being said, you're going to see how we built him. Is that I have 72% crit rate. I was trying to get him at like around 70. And again, coming back to that is because of this crit rate plus. Is that to increase crit rate by 30%. So an increased crit rate of 30% means that we can build him with a little less crit rates and then build more like crit damage. So you're going to see like I have 185% on the crit damage here, as well as, building onto the attack. So already love it. And with that, there was a couple sets that I really do like for him. Is I like Momentum. And again, talking about modules, and very similar to other games you guys have probably played, is there's a certain number of pieces you can kind of equip and then you're going to get bonuses. So for him, I really liked Momentum, which does additional crit rate by 12%, along with Keen Eye was another one I liked as well too, for crit damage plus 18%. There is also another one I do like called Fury Edge, which was crit rate plus 12% and then crit damage plus 20%. So you do have a couple different options for modules on how you want to build him, but you're going to see that I got Momentum and Keen Eye is what I have here to basically get these percentages that I was looking for. And for the shell for him, there's a couple different options for shells. I have used a shell before that increases turn meter for him. Right now, we are using Revelation. A Revelation is basically like a damage one, right? So Revelation increases the Animus attack by 28%. So we're going to increase how much attack Gray does. Shadow Dash increases his speed. And then Assault also increases how much damage he's going to do. So it's going to increase Gray's damage by 8%. So with Revelation, it's before the outer takes action, so before Gray takes action, enables each crit dealt by the owner in this turn to deal additional true damage equal to 12% of the target's max HP. Total damage dealt per hit cannot exceed 180% of self-attack. So there's a couple different ways to do this. With this one, I opted to try out the shell that, again, works along with the crit damage. Because, again, we want Gray to be maxed out on crit, which he is when he does his A2. And then having that means that Revelation is going to cause additional damage to be done as well. So really like the build on this. What we're going to do is let's take them in for a run. Why don't we go... Let's go over here to Nightmare. This is the boss stages. Nightmare Chiaki. All right, and here's our lineup. So we got Gray in the middle. All right, so he just did crit up, got an extra turn. And then he basically just about one-shot everybody except the boss there. And you saw the shell went first, kind of gave him a little bit of a boost, and then he automatically went with his A2 first to do the crit up. And that I do like, is sometimes with these games, the AI might not necessarily be smart enough to kind of do the right abilities first, but in this case it did, because that's what we want, is we want Gray to do his A2 first, to do the crit rate up, because then that's going to bring him to 100% crit. Then he's going to get an extra turn, and then he does his AoE. So there we go. So we have crit up. He gets another turn. And again, almost basically like one-shots them. And what I showed you with those modules as well, too, is you're going to see that I hadn't even rolled up the modules yet. So you can imagine how much more damage he has the potential to do if we ended up rolling some of that as well. So again, you see how great some of these SRs are. And like I said, what's really good with him is he ends up being one of your starter ones. You get him like almost immediately, I want to say, which is pretty great because he's going to help carry for a while. Also, one other thing I really like too is he's got another outfit here too. So we're going to change his skin momentarily, but really fun. Like, I like the design that they did. And honestly, I really like the fact that this game has such strong SRs in here, especially when you're able to get them so early and be able to be carried. Now, so we ended up doing this is basically like the boss stage. What we could also do too is I like the Grim Pursuit, because Grim Pursuit is where we end up getting some of the shells. So let's hop into one of these for a moment. What a fun like boss that we have here, huh? So we're gonna make sure we put Gray in there. And I don't really think we're going to have to worry too much about heals. We'll probably, we'll put Ling Low in here. There we go. Nice. Good job. And again, yeah, he does a great amount of damage. So I love being able to farm for some of these shells. And like I said, initially, before I switched to this like crit rate shell that we added onto Gray, I had a different shell that basically like boosted the turn meter instead. So I'd love to know, if you guys do end up downloading the game, what do you think? Are you excited? Do you end up using Gray quite a bit? I mean, basically he's in all of my teams because he's so strong. And guys, again, I want to take a moment and thank Etheria Restart for sponsoring today's video. I'll have a download link below, the way you guys can register for the game. And like I said, the game is going to go live on June 5th. I'd love to know what you're excited for. And yeah, if you end up getting him, if you end up building him, let me know, what module sets do you have on him? What shells do you end up using? I'd love to know what you guys think of him. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, like the video, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.